Hello, this is Shira, and this is the Aquarius full moon report for July 23rd, 2021. Now, the full moon that day will be at 1 degree Aquarius, and of course, making an opposition at the early Sun in Leo at 1 degree. It is interesting to note, however, that the moon really is not at this particular time. And keep in mind that I have this set for Eastern Standard Time. And the moon is not making any major aspects at this particular time as of yet. However, the moon is making a very wide sextile to the south node in Sagittarius and a trine with the north node. So nodes always are sensitive points, and so we could say that we may feel very sensitive and connected emotionally to others during this particular time of the full moon. Now, the moon will be within hours early on the 24th, will be making a conjunction to Saturn. And again, keep in mind, this is Eastern Standard Time, not coordinated universal time. So either way, 23rd, 24th, the moon will be approaching or applying a conjunction to Saturn retrograde at 10 degrees. So what does this mean? So Aquarius, let's look at Aquarius. Aquarius is about technology. It's about genius or brilliance. It is about one who is futuristic or forward looking. Many would say that Aquarius, because it is ruled by Uranus, is unpredictable or the unexpected. Now, Aquarius is an air sign. It is detached, and like the fellow sign of Gemini, Aquarius connects with communication of all types. However, Uranus, ruling Aquarius, is fixed, and the moon entering Aquarius, as with Saturn, are in the fixed sign of Aquarius. Therefore, it is very difficult to change our minds over a particular issue at this time. And what else does Aquarius rule? It rules objectives, and mostly it rules ideals, opinions, the masses. So with the moon approaching first retrograde Saturn, we will feel moved by our objectives or a particular cause at this time. And this may affect the masses, especially since not only is the moon applying a conjunction with retrograde Saturn, which only creates more fixation or stubborn behavior because Saturn is retrograde, but we are also applying a square with Saturn to Uranus, and Uranus is the depositor of the moon and Saturn. So in our personal lives, we may be very staid or very opinionated towards a particular ideal or opinionated objective at this particular time, and we may not want to be moved from this particular ideal that we hold dear to us. So we should consider, as always, with the fixed sign emphasis, negotiation, or to become more communicative and negotiable at this time. Publicly, this means there may be somewhat of a issue within the masses, the public eye, that may strike a nerve regarding a particular cause. There may be mass arguments, fights, disagreements over a cause of what? What is Aquarius? Humanity, and our humanity and how we treat other people, and what? Our ideals. And this will be very prominent at this time, and again just before the time and after the time, just after the full moon of Aquarius. And Leo is that which is about taking center stage, wanting the attention, and yet Leo is very warm-hearted and very kind. And yes, like Aquarius, it is a fixed sign, and it is hard to move fixed signs from their mode of opinion and thought. So there may be an issue in our personal life where we may feel a little stepped on as far as matters of the heart and love and relationships and feeling feeling as if maybe we're taken advantage of at this time with that full moon. And Aquarius is about ideals, and well, there's going to be a lot of he said, she said, and this is what I think is best according to my opinions, and so on. And the best thing we could do in our personal lives is kind of take a step back and think about how we can treat each other without becoming emotional, since the sun is in a fire sign, so that can kind of create a spark of drama, and the moon is in an air sign and approaching Saturn, and Saturn retrograde is only going to dig its heels in a lot more. It's whether it's in our personal lives, and again, you must look at your own chart and figure out where this stubborn outlook is going to be personally in your birth chart. However, Aquarius is one who is great about discussion and looking at a situation in a more objective and detached manner with the need to communicate. So at this time, it's really going to be important to keep modes of communication open, and of course that will also indicate whatever transpires as far as ideals with regards to more public behavior or outlooks. Now, on the other scale, Uranus, Aquarius, rule technology. So there may be an issue with that is connected with the internet, social media, and technology. There may be some problems with physical communications, and that can include, yes, it can include hacking, it can include wireless, cell phones, communications of all kinds, you name it, internet. There may be some kind of breakdown at this particular time. Moving along, we see Venus is making what is called a quincunx, somewhat of a tense aspect with the moon on or around the 23rd, 24th. And of course, what does Venus rule? Venus rules love. And Venus is in critical Virgo. And when that makes a quincunx with the full moon in Aquarius, we may feel criticized right now. And Virgo is very good at dissemination and criticizing and kind of fussy behavior. We may have this feeling of like something's not really right in love, and we may feel kind of criticized or kind of picked apart, so to speak. It's not a very emotional or warm, fuzzy feeling between Venus and Virgo and the moon in Aquarius. It's kind of cold, and so there may be cold overtures from those that we love. Now, that doesn't just mean romantic, but it can mean within family, friends, you name it. Groups and group behavior, because we're talking Aquarius here, and then we're talking Venus in Virgo. So if we feel a little picked apart at this time or criticized, the best thing is what? Is to open up lines of communication, because that is the higher energy and humane outlook of Aquarius, is to communicate, to talk, to go over that in an unemotional manner that we may find annoying, as in this may be very well the case. Now, after the moon conjoins Saturn and applies a conjunction with Saturn, it will then move about a day and a half later, approximately around the 25th. The moon will then conjoin retrograde Saturn, which on the 28th, days later, will then return to Aquarius. Now, that's actually pretty good. So if we feel that there is a breakdown with regards to communication, however that may be, physical technology communications or within the masses, personally, breakdown with the thought of ideals and opinions, then the conjunction with the moon, the conjunction from Jupiter with the moon will be rather refreshing, because that gives us kind of a philosophical, somewhat of a spiritual outlook, especially with Jupiter kind of on the cusp between Pisces and Aquarius. So this will become a very spiritual time somehow for us, as Jupiter then returns to Aquarius from the very spiritual, metaphysical, and yes, sensitive sign of Pisces. So there may be something that comes about now that we hear regarding philosophy, spiritual issues, and again, that word comes up ideals, objectives, especially because we're at 0 degrees, Jupiter in Pisces going retrograde from 0 to critical to also the 29th degree of Aquarius, which is also critical. So we are kind of on the precipice between philosophy and the spiritual, which is Aquarius Pisces. So there may be certain groups that come about now with ideals, or on the other hand, that could be of some problems. And certainly, however it is in our personal life, spirituality, philosophy, beliefs, all of this are going to become very prominent. And of course, Neptune rules the veil between this world and the next world, and Aquarius ruling or being ruled by Uranus is that which is energetic. So there may be some type of invention at the end of July that also comes about now that will improve our communication, or some kind of metaphysical or energetic paranormal interest that comes about now, or something rather interesting concerning that which rules the energetic and that which rules the spiritual. Very interesting time with the moon approaching a conjunction to Jupiter retrograde. Now, moving along, we do have now still Pisces, Neptune, and that makes a beautiful and blessed trine to Mercury in Cancer. So that's great, because with all this stubborn outlook and behavior and nitty-pickiness, you can say Neptune somewhat softens the communication, and Neptune is still retrograde, and with Mercury nearly an exact trine with Neptune, we will feel a little bit edgy, but at the same time, Neptune with a trine to Mercury opens up sensitivity, opens up lines of communication of feeling, sensitivity, healing, and Mercury rules communication. So with Mercury in Cancer, we will feel rather sensitive to others' needs. And this is great because that offsets this connection with the moon and Saturn, and the connection with the moon and Virgo. And this is great because it's a good time to apply a little sympathy, a band-aid, if you will, to some of the criticism and some of the harsher aspects. Okay, so we still have Mars in Leo, and days later Mars will then be leaving Leo and going into Virgo. So with that Virgo connection going on here, even with Mars in late Leo, although very warm-hearted, we will start to feel a little bit like we got to disseminate our lives, our atmospheres, and this also will be somewhat known in the public eye. A lot of people will be kind of nitty-picky over each other. There may be some information about investigations, or details need to be checked and rechecked, and especially days later with Mars going into the picky icky sign of Virgo with Venus in Virgo. So there's going to be a lot that comes out now publicly about details and information about medicine, because Virgo, like its opposite sign of Pisces, is that which rules medicine and healing. And we may feel that we may not have closure regarding a particular issue unless there is an investigation or research, Virgo, into a certain amount of details. And again, the Virgo emphasis is connected with medicine, as is Neptune. So that will be very prominent as we go into late July and into early August. And so Mars is now moving beyond the square to Uranus, which is good. And then later on into August, Mars will then trine Uranus in Taurus. So where lately we go through this time of feeling criticized or being critical and disseminating facts and research, Uranus, once it makes a trine to Mars, approximately about 10 days or forward on later, we will feel like there's a little more steadfastness in our lives and may feel like, maybe we should pull back the reins a little bit and be a little bit more sensible, not so unpredictable, as very much this full moon will reflect. So all in all, it will be a time of criticism because we've got the Virgo emphasis here. And yet we will also sense that we want to reach out to others in a very warm fashion. As of yet, however, there may be this very cold and detached mannerisms coming from those that we love. And with a certain amount of pickiness and fussiness, but we can get through that with objective negotiations. And days later, with the conjunction with the moon and Jupiter, we will feel very generous, both with our feelings and expression, and otherwise. It's also going to be a great time for prosperity at this time, and talks of increasing income, increasing wherever Jupiter is placed in your birth chart. So the key here is to avert criticism and open up lines of communication in a very detached manner. And to be sensitive to others' needs connected with the nodes. And Neptune and Mercury trine Cancer, Pisces, respectively here, indicates that we will further start to reach out to others to further any kind of warmth or sensitivity and band-aid any harsh or critical behavior. So this will be a very important new moon, and one we also have to make sure, by the way, of any kind of computer or technological breakdowns. But other than that, if we just apply sensitivity and kindness, open lines of communication, perhaps the full moon of Aquarius this July will be just fine. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my contact information is down below. I give one-on-one readings and written reports. Please subscribe to this channel and press the bell notification. Until next time, many, many blessings.